Why do I play Necrons when so many other armies exist? I answer this question and more in this month's Q&A. Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, time for another Q&A, and I've got some awesome questions to answer in this episode. Before that though, if you would like to keep up to date with the wonders of Warhammer 40k, then please give me a sub and hit the bell button so you don't miss an upload. Okay, before I answer your questions, I have a question for you. I'd love to know, what is your peak time of day that you watch YouTube videos? Is it in the morning when you just wake up? Is it maybe lunchtime? Or is it in the evening? If you'd like to answer that question in the comments below, that'd be great. And of course, if you have any more questions to ask me for next month's Q&A, then put those questions down below as well. Okay, so the first question is from Joshua Swann, and he says, if you were thrown into the world of a very British civil war, who would you fight for? Royalists, socialists, fascists, the church, or just defend your town as and when others start getting too big for their boots and adventure onto your land? Great question, thank you Josh. Of course I have been watching your videos on a very British civil war, and I've decided that what I would do is just defend my land. I don't think I would join any of the factions. I think I would just stay at home, and if and when it was needed, I'd then obviously stand up for myself, but I think that's what I would do. So thank you for the question, Josh. Next question is from Steve Carr, and he says, did Star Trek Discovery plagiarise an indie game called Tandigrades from 2014? I don't know. I'm not into video games whatsoever, and so I have no idea, to be fair. I know you put a link here to a blog post, but I didn't really read these questions beforehand. I just printed them off, so I haven't seen that. So I will check it out after this video. But I don't actually know, because I have no idea what that game is. Sorry about that. Okay, so the next question is from Retep1001, and he says, what do you think if Necrons would be infected by chaos, in this case by Tzeentch? So that we will get back their memories, their reasoning, and gaining psychic powers. Would it destroy the lore completely? That's an interesting question. I definitely wouldn't like to see Necrons have psychic powers. I'm not a huge fan of the psychic phase, and it's quite nice having an army that doesn't really have a psychic phase, so I definitely wouldn't like to see that. I think it would probably destroy the fluff, really, if that happened. So that's my answer. Next one is from Mini Warzone from Pete, and he says, Star Trek Discovery, could you suggest a couple of things that would possibly improve it and make it undoubtedly the Star Trek that fans know and love? Thank you, Pete, for the question. This came on the back of my last Q&A a good few weeks ago when I was talking about Star Trek, and I was saying it didn't really necessarily feel like Star Trek. Well, now I've watched all of the first half that they've released for this year, and I must admit I'm really enjoying it, and I think it's grown on me a lot more. I liked it before because it's Star Trek, but I think now I'm sort of getting used to the characters and the format, and it's working well for me, and it's feeling more like Star Trek now, to be fair. I like the way that they've gone in from the different point of view, rather than being like about the captain. It's obviously more about the first officer, a sort of viewpoint. I think that's quite a clever way of doing it, and I think it's working quite well. And the storyline seems like it's coming to an area where the spore drive technology is probably going to go by the wayside. Didn't really like the spore drive technology in the timeline that we're in. I think it was, if in the future it would work, in the current timeline it wouldn't, but I think that technology is going to be going, and we're going to get on to being more discovering worlds, which is what Star Trek's about. So I think the answer is, once the Klingon War's over, probably it's going to be a bit better, with the exception of the looks of the Klingons. I mean, they could make it more Star Trek by literally just having proper Klingons and not these weird looking Klingons. So think that's how I'm going to answer it. To make it more like Star Trek is give us normal looking Klingons. Okay, so next question is from Furious George, and he says, how much time out of a week is dedicated to making videos, and what is the most rewarding aspect of making videos for me? Okay, how much time? Pretty much all of my time. All of my spare time is dedicated to the hobby, either doing the hobby itself or to doing something to do with YouTube. I don't really do much else, so it pretty much takes up every spare waking hour that I have. The most rewarding thing about it has to be just literally when that video that I've made goes live, and I start to get the views and the comments and the likes and sometimes dislikes, and the feedback, and I just enjoy that side of it, I think, the most. Seeing the video live on YouTube. I do enjoy the editing, etc., but I think that's the most rewarding part, is when that video goes out to the world and people start watching it. Okay, so the next question is from Super Cyan, I think that's how you pronounce it. What do you think of all the releases from Games Workshop and Forge World have been pumping out over the last 2 years? Do you think it's too much for us mere mortal hobbyists to keep up with? Yeah, it's twofold, isn't it? You're talking to someone who waited 10 years for a new Necron Codex to come out. I think it's super cool that we are getting so many new releases, but I also do agree, especially when you have more than one army, that it's very, very difficult to keep up. Indeed, I have struggled to keep up. I mean, the indexes, they all came out, fair enough, I got those. But now we've got all the new codexes coming out, and yeah, I haven't as yet got the Tyranny Codex. We've got the Eldar Codex to get. Don't think there's been a Space Wolves one yet. And of course I'm still waiting for a Necron one, so I'm going to invest my money into the Necrons. But yeah, it's definitely, probably, I would say, a bit too much. Then I wouldn't necessarily have it any other way. Yeah, Forge World, that doesn't bother me too much, because I just ignore Forge World generally. But yeah, there's a lot of releases, isn't there? But it's good. It's good to be seen, and I'm lucky that I'm not the type of person that has to have the latest model. You know, I can hold back. Ow! Excuse me. So I am the. I need a drink now. So I am the type of person that doesn't get too hyped up about new releases. Unless it's Necrons. Necrons! Okay, so the next question is from Wolf Brother Methos, and he says, as you've released this on Halloween, I'd like to know if you enjoy the occasional costume. If so, what are some of your favourites worn in your lifetime? Yeah, occasional dressing up. I've got a Darth Maul outfit, which I do like to wear. The trouble is with that is it's a full mask, so you can't drink out of it. So that's not very good when you go to a party. I've done the usual Dracula, etc. I think my favourite costume is a werewolf. Got this really cool mask, but it's got this section like cut out so you can actually drink. Now when I wore this costume at Halloween, I also got this fur stuff, and I glued it to the back of my hand and it looked really cool. Yeah, I really like that costume, so that's probably my favourite one. Thanks for the question, Methos. Next is from Felipe Correal, I think it's pronounced. I see that you drink a lot of coffee. I wanted to ask, have you ever tried Colombian coffee? Do you like it? So indeed, I do drink a lot of coffee. I drink any coffee really, to be fair. I definitely drink Colombian, although it's generally instant coffee. I don't have a coffee machine. I would like to get one. I've had one in the past, but I don't currently own one. Yeah, the truth is I don't really care what coffee it is, as long as it's coffee. That's my priority. So yeah, but yeah, absolutely, nothing against Colombian coffee. Is there a reason why I should have something against it? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, next is from Jim White, and he says, if you could ethically do it, would you play Santa Claus? Don't quite understand that question. If I could ethically do it, would I play Santa Claus? Well, I have played Santa Claus on a family gathering with my 3 children and like the cousins and stuff. I dressed up as Santa Claus, went round, I dressed up upstairs, went out the front door, came around the back door, hoo hoo hoo, and all that stuff. That's fun. Of course, all of my children recognised me, apart from the youngest, but she was only 6 months old, so. But yeah, I would definitely dress up. Okay, so the next question is from Frisk Jack, and he says, why do you play Necrons when so many other armies exist? Thank you, great question. So when I first started the hobby and I wanted to get myself an army, I had no idea which army to go for. Went into the shop, saw all the codexes there, and the one that stood out to me was the Necron one, the black codex with that picture of the warrior on. Absolutely loved that picture. And that's why I went for Necrons. I didn't know anything about the army whatsoever, I just loved that picture. I chose Necrons. I fell right in love with Necrons right at that moment in time, and I've never really looked back. Of course I do have other armies, quite a few other armies. Necrons are always my favourite, so that's why they pull on my heartstrings somehow with their robotic arms. Okay, next question is from Drunken Deer, and he says, do you publicly say that you play war games and try to promote it to those who are not familiar with it, perhaps unusual types of people like gym junkies, to get involved? Quite a number of years ago I always shied away really from saying what my hobby was, but recently not at all. I mean, certainly since I've had my YouTube channel and the channel's grown, and I think I've grown in confidence about the hobby and about what I do, I'm more than happy to talk to people about Warhammer 40k, and if you know anyone who knows me will probably say that I talk about it way too much, almost all the time. So yeah, to new people, if people ask what I do, I usually say I'm like a YouTube creator who creates about my hobby, which is then, well, you know, tabletop wargaming. So I tend to take that route. But yeah, I definitely try to get everyone involved if I can. I've got a new tactic now. Previously I used to sort of almost invite people to play, but I found that didn't really work. What I find works more now is you just talk about the hobby as much as you can. And then eventually they say, this hobby sounds quite interesting, I might have a look into it. I find that works more than actually like trying to almost force them to do it. But yeah, great question, thank you for the question. Next one is from Cheddar Monkey. Why don't Nurgle and Zench get along? Can't the demons just all be friends? Warhammer noob here, so if there's a reason in the story, it would be neat to know. Okay, sadly, you are asking the wrong person, as I am not a fluff bunny whatsoever. Do the demon gods get on? I don't actually know, I imagine not. Sorry, you're the wrong person to ask. If there's anyone out there that can answer this question for me, as well as for Cheddar, yeah, please put the answer down below. Because I'd love to know as well. Okay, next question is from IroncladHunter, and he says, would you go to a tournament for Horus Heresy? And would you go to No Retreat 40k or Horus Heresy? So Horus Heresy, no is the answer. I don't think I would go to a tournament. I don't mind playing it because I have done so in the past, but I don't think the tournament scene for that. But yeah, I'd definitely go to No Retreat for 40k at some point. I do hope to do that. I think that'd be really good fun. So yeah, that's the answer to that one. Next one is from the Peacemaker 848, and he says, what do you think of the show The Orville? If you have not seen it yet, then you should watch it and give your thoughts on it to compare it to Star Trek Discovery. Okay, so I had heard of the Orville, but only because I saw Richard's Q&A from the Nerd Live, and he was talking about the Orville on there. So I thought, that's two people talking about it, I better look it up. So I thought I better watch it. So I have watched a couple of episodes now, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. What do I think of it compared to Discovery? I think it's definitely more sort of Star Trek orientated, but with a bit more humour. It felt like watching a traditional Star Trek series, whereas Discovery feels like a much more sort of modern, newer version of it. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. The characters seem good, it seems quite a lot of fun, and it's got a lot of Star Trek traditional things in there, in the way that the technology works, etc. So yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I'm going to continue watching the rest of the series. So yeah, thank you for the question. Okay, so the next question is from DZ Sabre, and he says, not sure how old you are, so I may be dating myself here, but when you were younger, did you ever encounter the war game Starfleet Battles? I had lots of fun playing it, and I wish I had a copy. Secondly, is there any other sci-fi that you follow? Well, I was born in 72, so that makes me 45, and I don't remember that game though. I haven't come across that game at all, but then I'm not heavily into games, to be fair, but I don't remember that one. Do I follow any other sci-fi? Absolutely. I love sci-fi films. Watch pretty much any sci-fi film, really enjoy them. Of course, massive Star Wars fan, as well as Star Trek. I do like Star Wars, and not so much any other series. I mean, the trouble is, it's commitment, isn't it, of time when you're watching series. You know, like Doctor Who and Stargate. I've seen some Stargates, but I haven't seen them all. Is it Firefly? Yeah, there's loads, isn't there? Not so much series, apart from, I mean, obviously Star Trek's my #1 thing, but I do follow other sci-fi. Next one is from Richard Morgan. He says, with the way Games Workshop comes out with FAQs, firstly to correct the flyers and then the conscripts, are they pandering to the community or not allowing the community to find their solutions? And as a community, do we become reliant and expect GW to solve everything we have a problem with rather than working a way around it ourselves? Good question, Richard. Thank you for that. I'm really liking the way that they're jumping on the rules that people are having problems with. I think it's good, especially, yeah, I just think it's good. I think we've all learnt from this, and the thing to do is if you get a super cool rule, a super good rule, don't shout about it. Just keep it under your hat, play your games reserved, and let's hope no one notices it. Because GW definitely seem to be jumping on stuff. I mean, the Yanari's just been changed as well, and it seems the way forward. And as long as they do that for everything, and it's all kept up to date and on top of each other, then yeah, I think that's good. I think it's good. Okay, Graeme Collin, he says, from across all the series of Star Trek, which major races would you say are best matched to which 40k races or factions? The obvious parallels would be Eldar and Dark Eldar for Vulcans and Romulans. However, doesn't the Vulcan mindset lend itself towards the Tau philosophy? And I'd be surprised if there wasn't a Borg stroke Necrons parallel drawn, or Tyranids and Species 8472, perhaps. Thank you, Graeme, for that question. Yeah, I think, to be fair, you've probably answered your question yourself. Necrons definitely sort of Borg orientated, although I do think the servitor models are pretty Borgish. A whole army of those, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I suppose arguably Necrons are closer to Borg, maybe. Tyranids, you're right, Species 8472. Vulcans and Eldar, absolutely. I mean, my Eldar are based around Vulcan because obviously they live a long time, pointed ears, etc. I think you've pretty much answered your question there. Yeah, I don't know that I've actually got anything else to add to that. So sorry about that, but you shouldn't have given me all the answers. Okay, we're on to the last question, and this is from Adam Fox, and he says, do you have enough players to try setting up a campaign? Is your gaming group interested in campaigns? When I was able to play more often, we played a few different types of campaign games, narrative, map-based, etc. I've been on both sides of the board, so to speak. I played in campaigns, and I've been the organiser of the campaigns. Really enjoyed it. If you're ever interested, please let me know. I'd be happy to email you any info I have, or be glad to help out or organise a campaign for you and your group to play anytime. Well, thank you, Adam. Much appreciated, and indeed, actually, I appreciate all of your fantastic comments that you give me, Adam, on all of my videos. So, thank you for that, good sir. Yeah, campaigns. I have done a campaign in the past, but it flopped. I did one with my Dark Eldar, and my buddy was playing as Orcs. It was towards the end of 7th edition. My buddy wasn't enthusiastic about 7th edition towards the end, and after a couple of campaign games he stopped playing it. Might try to invigorate it again, because I enjoyed the campaigns, but yeah, might be worth having another go, so I might put that to him. The problem that we've got at the moment is we've hardly touched what's in 8th edition rulebook yet. Primarily we've played the only war missions. I think we played the Relic once out of the Eternal Wars, and we played one Maelstrom mission, and that's it. Because it's just so easy. We turn up on our gaming night. It's like, what should we play? Oh, let's just play only war mission. No, because it's simple. It's easy to get to and access. We've definitely got to start playing some of the other missions, because there's loads of different missions in there. So I think we need to up our game on what we play. To be fair, we're still learning. Oh, no, I haven't as yet actually made a proper army list for 8th edition. I'm still only just experimenting with the units. So there's a long way to go. I hope 8th edition doesn't get upgraded in like a year's time, because I've only touched the iceberg of it. So I hope 8th edition stays around for a good 4 years. Fingers crossed. Not 2 years, Games Workshop, not this time, please. Okay, so that is all the questions answered. So if you would like to ask me a question, put your question down in the comments box below, and I'll see you in next month's Q&A. Beam me up.